All right, so I'm here today with a close friend of mine, one of the illest producers in the city. He's produced for artists such as Tory Lanez, Chris Brown, you name it, Roy Woods. How you doing today, bro?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just
That's
doing my
good. That's
thing,
good.
you know. Cool. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about how you got started in the music industry.
So I started this must have been like 10 years ago, and like growing up, I always had an influence from my sisters and my parents because they'd always play R&B music, hip hop music growing up. My dad actually used to play instruments, same as my sisters. So I was always surrounded by the musical influence.
Yeah.
By the time I got into junior high, I just needed like an outlet, you know. So I just started messing around with beats, and I always used to watch like beat videos on YouTube, and I was like, oh, this looks like super cool. Like I should start it. And then I was like kind of hesitant at first because I was like, okay, I don't know what software to use. I don't know, like, do I need equipment? And then my boy told me, he's like, yo, just get this software called Mixcraft. It was like this cheap, like, I think it was free at the time actually, software. And I couldn't make beats at all. Like my beats were horrible on there. And it was really bad. And like after that, my sister actually took that laptop from me because I was like making beats and I wasn't focusing on my schoolwork. And she's like, you got to focus on school. And me and my sister, my oldest sister, have a 14-year difference, so she kind of plays mom sometimes, right?
Oh wow. Yeah.
So then after that, when I got to high school, I like behind everyone's back, I was like, okay, I'm gonna download FL Studio and like make beats on the side. No one will know, so no one can take my computer away, nothing. So
Yeah.
I had this dinky setup with like a chair, it was like a dinner table chair in my basement in the corner. I put my monitor, like my my screen monitor on there. I have my big ass desktop computer on the floor, and I used to like just make beats on there. And it was horrible, but then over time, like I was always into it, and then I just stuck with it. Yeah.
Oh, that's what's up. Humble beginnings.
Yeah, I'm happy that I just got a laptop, honestly.
Yeah. So who are some of your inspirations as you were getting started?
There's a lot. Like obviously, like growing up, like you have like your Dr. Dre's, your J Dillas, you have Timbaland, you got Kanye, Pharrell, like these old cats who like paved the way for so many people. Like Timbaland's bounce, like his drums, I'd say influenced my sound a lot because if you hear my drums, like that's kind of what I'm more of a drum guy than a melody guy.
Yeah.
And my bounce, I feel like sometimes when I listen to Timbaland stuff and my stuff, I'm like, oh shit, like sometimes there's similarities.
Yeah.
Obviously nowhere close to his level, like he's a goat, but like,
Not
um,
yet.
yeah. So like with Timbaland, like he's a huge inspiration for me, and this new generation, I say like Rajah Beats, Boy Wonder, OZ. Like OZ's a newer guy who like I feel like has been inspiring me crazy. He produced Highest in the Room, like produced 2C Slide, like he produced a bunch of Drake songs. But he's a big influence. T minus, that guy's like a huge influence. But it kind of varies all over. But I'd say the new generation is kind of what shaped. I used to try and make beats like fitting all these guys different molds, and then I kind of brought it all together and kind of have my own sound now. So
Yeah. Nice.
yeah.
So how were you able to balance both school and working on your passion? Because I know you recently graduated and got your degree, and there's
Yeah.
probably a lot of people in a similar situation. So yeah, if you could shed some light on that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like a lot of times people they feel like you gotta quit school or quit your job to do music full time, and you don't necessarily have to do it. You just need time management, honestly. You need the drive and passion, and willing to be patient with it because obviously nothing happens. Anything good doesn't happen overnight, right? It takes time. So I like with school and everything. Like I at the time I was still managing to spend lots of time with my family because I'm close to my family. I still had a social life, hang out with friends, playing ball. Like when we used to play ball,
Yeah.
I used to I went to school. I had a girlfriend at the time, and I was doing music too. But I feel like what was able to help me balance it all was like in between classes. Let's say I would like make a beat, or after class I'd quickly make a beat and then go see my girl, or like chill with my family. I'll take on my laptop after a little bit and just start making a beat with like one headphone, and I'll be like chilling with them the whole time too. Like, so just kind of balancing it just so you can still kind of get the best of every world. I might not have been making beats 7 days a week, but I'll still try and do like 5 days a week, like weekends. You have your part-time job on the side too. Like, whatever time you get, so.
Yeah, for sure. So at what point did you know that you could compete with the big dogs? Because I know you've made tracks for some big artists out there. Was there a particular moment in your career where you knew, like, this is what I can do full time?
Yeah, actually there was. So I did a beat battle, I think in like 2016. It was in Calgary, and I think I made it to like the top 8 at the time.
Okay.
And that's kind of when I like first started getting out in the Calgary scene. And like there used to be this thing called Beat Drop, and people would go there and they have something called Feedback Fridays. All producers would go there on Friday, play beats, and like get feedback from each other. When I started playing beats, like people would nod their head and people would be feeling it. And now I listen to those beats and I'm like, they're not the craziest, but people always showed love and they saw the potential. So seeing people receptive to your stuff, it kind of keeps you motivated. And then I think it was 2017, I sent stuff to this guy I was working with, Calgary at the time. And shout out to him. Like, I got nothing but love. Like, we had a follow, but, like, at that time, he was really connected with Riff Raff's manager. So I sent him beats, and he sent them over to them. And then Riff Raff posted on his Instagram, like, him smoking a blunt, eating a steak, like, listening to my beat. And I was like, oh, that's dope. Like, that's Riff Raff, right? That's a big guy. And that was the first time I had a big guy listen to my stuff. So I was like, okay, that's dope. And then over time, like, I had that same artist, he got Nestle as a feature on one of his songs. So I had a Nestle record. And then Ye Ali, we got a feature from him, which is funny because me and him are boys now. Like, we work together and stuff, right? Nice. But from there, like, the year after was when I got my Roy Woods placement in 2018. So the song's not out yet, but I was just making the right moves and meeting the right people. They kind of, if you send them stuff, they'll tell you straight up if it's whack, So over time, like, it started off like, oh, this is whack, this is not there yet. Oh, keep sending stuff, to the point where they're like, oh yeah, this guy just worked on this beat. So I think that's when I started realizing, like, this could actually turn into something. So
yeah, persistence pays.
Most definitely.
So now that you have a bigger audience following you, do you feel any sort of pressure when you're releasing new beats?
In a sense, I do. Like, because as a producer, like, you have your big releases, and like, it feels good at first. And like the Eric Bellinger song that I had that came out in September, that was like my first like big release. And it felt amazing. Like, I was on top of the world, but I was like, okay, I got to get back to work. And like 1 week after, like, it lasted and died down, like, in my head at least, because I'm like, I got to get the next big.
Yeah.
So then the Tory Lanez Chris Brown thing happened on Chicks Tape. And that was crazy because, like, I wasn't expecting the song to blow up how it is now, because, like, I think we're almost gold. Like, it's almost a gold certified record. So, like, seeing it develop into that, it was just crazy. But the first couple of weeks, like, I was on top of the world. Like, I was going out, turning up. Like, I was like, man, let's celebrate this. And then I realized, I was like, I got to get that next big. So, like, I feel a little bit of pressure to get that next placement, because you don't want to be a name that, like, just pops up and then dies down right after, right? You want to kind of stay relevant. So
yeah, for sure. Don't want to be just a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be in the industry for a minute. So
now that you've worked with a few bigger artists, is your family more supportive of your passion and the career path you want to go down?
I'd say so. Like, because I have an East Indian background, and all East Indian people know. Lots of people, actually, different cultures, I'd say a lot of people can relate to this. But like, even for yourself, I'm assuming too, like, when you like want to pursue something which isn't the regular norm. Like, my parents want me to be a doctor or like an accountant or like a businessman, like do something like where you're guaranteed success, right?
Yeah.
And I was fine. Like, I thought it'd be cool, but then like with music on the side, they're always like, oh, like, that's not realistic, because what's the chance of you being a successful music producer? Yeah. And then over time, when this recent record came out, my parents, they're always like, okay, like, you're going somewhere now. Like, you had the #1 R&B album in the world. Like, that's pretty cool that you're on it. Like, you had a song with Chris Brown. And my parents, they don't follow too much pop culture, but they knew who Chris Brown was because he's a pretty big name, right? So that, and even like the Tory Lanez name. So now I'd say they're definitely more supportive.
Yeah.
But I still feel like I'm still a long ways to go before they'll be like 100% on the bandwagon. I'd say like they're getting there though. So
they're warming up to it.
Exactly.
So take me through that Tory Lanez Chris Brown collab, like how that went down and how you were feeling before the song was released. Were you pretty nervous leading up to it, or just excitement?
I was I was nervous at first because basically what happened was the way I got the placement. So I reached out to Papi Year, who I think at the time he's or no, he still is. He signed to Tory. Um, Super dope guy. Like that's my boy right there. And he heard my stuff and he's like, yo, like I like this stuff. So he told me to keep sending more. So I sent him a 21 questions flip. And that I think that was the first time he's like, yo, like he's like, give me your number, like let's send me more stuff. The 21 questions flip was crazy too. Like that one was nuts. Like it slaps. But then I think it was like April 4th or March 4th or something last year. I was sending him stuff like constantly, and then one day I went to MRU, and I was like, bro, I was like, it was right after my class, and I had like assignments the next day, a test, like all this stuff the next day, and I was swamped. But something was like itching me to like just make a beat. So I asked him, I messaged him, I was like, bro, is Take You Down by Chris Brown done yet? He's like, I don't think so. I was like, say less, like I'm gonna send you something. So I put together a quick in like a few hours. I put together I chopped up the sample, added some drums onto it, put a bass line on it, 808s. I kind of arranged it, sent it to him. He's like, bro, like I love this on the stem. So he did his thing on it. He really turned it into like a hit, like the way it was arranged and everything, which was crazy. But a few days later, he's like hit me up while I was out to dinner, and he's like, yo, like say your prayers. I was like, all right. He's like, I'm going to the studio with Tory. So I was with my friend and I was like, yo, like stop. I was like, we gotta say our prayers. Like take that food out of your mouth. Like we're saying a prayer right now. So we said a prayer. I was like, man, like just pray. Like I'll pray that this happen, right? And then 2:00 in the morning hits and he calls. I'm getting a phone call from him. I'm like, man, I'm too tired. Like I'm not gonna pick this up. I got my assignment, like another assignment the day after. Like I gotta go to sleep. And then someone told me, he's like, just pick it up. So I picked up and he's like, yo, he's like, are you sleeping? I was like, yeah. He's like, yo, congratulations, you made the Chicks tape.
Ooh.
And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, Tory laid down a verse. Like I think they're sending it out to Chris Brown soon after that. So it's crazy how all like played out. And then going forward up to the release date, like we didn't know when everything was gonna be out, like when everything would be finalized. And then closer to the date, it kind of when the paperwork started coming in, all that stuff, that's kind of when it started hitting me like, man, like it still doesn't seem real. Like honestly, it took me like a good like 6 months after like I would say 2 months ago or last month was when it finally hit me. I knew I produced it, but I could hear it in like a audience manner. Like it wasn't like a biased way, right? Which was amazing. Like hearing that and being like, man, I produced this. So
Yeah, that's amazing.
yeah,
Persistence pays off.
most definitely, I'd say so, bro. I feel like that's the biggest thing. Like for any producer coming up, like that's the biggest thing, is persistence.
Yeah, just stick with it. So let's talk about some of the challenges you face living in a city that's not, let's say, that's not all about hip hop culture or R&B culture, and some of
Yeah.
the challenges you face being a producer that focuses mainly on hip hop and R&B. Do you feel like you're disadvantaged?
In a sense, like you have places like Atlanta, Toronto, LA. These people, you always have people in the city who are listening to talent in the city, right? In Calgary, you got people, but how far is their reach? You don't know. Like it's not that far, right? Like Calgary people, they like you could have a Calgary person hear stuff, but to the extent that they can help you with, they're not gonna all of a sudden get you a record with like the weekend or some shit. You know, like it'll be tough for that to happen. So there is a bit of disadvantage because you kind of have to network outside your city, but it's hard because you don't get that face to face. So mostly everything's on social media or you have to travel.
Yeah.
But a lot of like for example with me, like I feel like what helped me overcome that challenge was like I did marketing in university. I was able to use a lot of stuff from my education and use it towards networking and like social media marketing. So reaching out to people, just knowing what to say, how to build relationships, things like that. Because at one point I was just focused on the city and I was like, man, being the biggest producer in the city would be cool, but how can you be the biggest producer in the city if you're limiting yourself to the city?
Yeah.
You should limit yourself to the world, like expand that goal to be like the biggest guy in the world, and then eventually you can try and almost be that guy, right? So
Exactly.
everything works well. But yeah, I feel like that was a big challenge, but Calgary, it's on the way. Like we got another guy in the city, like shout out Jack Uria. He got signed to Vinyls. He's from Calgary. Vinyls is one of the biggest producers. And like in Alberta, we got Forever Friday, who's a singer. I don't know if you heard of him, but he's popping off. Like he's really dope. So I feel like Alberta's coming up slowly.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
Yeah, exactly.
So I heard you mention that majority of your interactions are via social media. So would you
Yeah.
say that you haven't been affected too much by the COVID-19 situation?
I feel like it affects producers to a certain extent. Like in terms of outreach, it hasn't affected me too much. Like, I feel like being at home majority of the time. Like I still have a 9 to 5, and it's an essential job, unfortunately. So I gotta go to work. But yeah, but being there, like I feel like I come home and I have more time. I feel like to just blast emails out, reach out to people. Like I try my best every day to try and make a connect to a new person. So like and build a relationship with someone new. And it's crazy because like sometimes with music, like you don't know this, like you don't know going into reaching out to these people that these people might be people you actually build genuine relationships with, like actually like becoming close friends and stuff too, right? So it's cool how it all works out. But yeah, I wouldn't say COVID affects that side more, but I feel like it does affect like studio time, linking up with artists. I feel like if I was in Toronto or LA, it would definitely have a big impact on me. But because like I said in Calgary, like most of the stuff is on social media, you can send stuff out. But I'd say studio time is definitely affected. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So is there a particular artist that you're looking forward to reaching out to or collabing with, or um, someone that you're looking forward to working with
Yeah.
that you'll say to yourself, I finally made it. I'm one of the best of the best. Is there anyone like that?
Uh yeah, I'd say Drake, obviously. Like Drake's huge, right? Like a guy's biggest artist in the world. Or like or like The Weeknd, or you got your big names, but I wouldn't even. I feel like like for at least myself, like my definition of like being the best of the best, like I need like Scott Storch level production. Like that guy's produced. Oh, that guy's another influence of mine. Sorry, but that guy has what, like over 100 like #1 hits. Like that guy's crazy.
Yeah.
Or like a Dr. Dre. But I feel like every step, every placement is like just another stepping stone to get to a point where people kind of take you more seriously. People will reach out to you, and then it gets easier as you go. But I'm enjoying this process. Like the beginning part's the fun part, because that's when like I don't know, you just work harder and you reap the benefits of it, right? So
Sure.
I'd say Drake though would be that one artist where like I would be extremely happy to get a placement with him. So
Yeah, and I'm sure it's gonna happen eventually with the way that you're moving and the work and
thank you,
dedication that you
bro.
put into your craft. It's no doubt in my mind.
I pray for it, bro. Honestly.
Do you have any words for any aspiring producers in the city?
um, yeah, like I think persistence is key, but stay patient, stay low. Like don't. I would say there's a lot of people who limit themselves to just trying to work with Calgary artists and think that they can build something up from there. Like it's cool to do that, but just remember, like you have to also expand your target market, right? Like kind of what me and you, like I was just saying a second ago, like don't limit yourself to Calgary. Try and reach out to people from all corners of the world, because you don't know where each relationship can go. Like my Roy Woods one, that started off with Wonder Girl, and I reached out to her on Snapchat, and that's how we started talking. Then she gave me Sunny Diamond's number, which was when I was in Toronto for a studio. And then like 8 months later, like, or no, a year and a half later, that's when I found out I had a record with Roy Woods. So like everything, like it just stems from something. So that's why like patience is key, because a relationship you make like 2 years ago can turn into a placement 2 years later.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So you never know. But I'd say yeah, patience, persistence, and just work hard. Just don't give up, and always just try and be creative. Like try new things. Don't limit yourself. Like don't put yourself in a box creatively, and you know, eventually in due time, like you will create your own sound. You just have to, like I said, just work hard and find yourself as a producer. So
Yeah, awesome.
yeah.
I always want to end things on a positive note. Just wondering if you have any words for the city, any words of encouragement for people that might be feeling down or feeling anxious or uncertain during these COVID-19 times.
You know, wear your face masks, wear your gloves, you know, but, you know, not all tough times last forever, right? Like, there's always brightness on the other side. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. So just stay low for now. And then, you know, when everything opens up, it'll be a lit time out there. You know, I feel like everyone's going to have a good time in due time. So
Stock up on toilet paper for sure.
yeah, exactly, man. You never know what COVID can do to people. So,
Yeah. So what you got cooking for 2020? What's in
sorry?
what you got cooking for 2020? What's in the works?
I got some dope stuff on the way. I can't say too much, but I got more stuff with Tory on the way. I have a lot of on my social media. I got it on the way highlight. You can click there. At Prod by Rajah, PRODBYRAJH. I had to plug myself in right there, you know. But yeah, I got some records on the way. I'm pushing for a lot of stuff right now too. So by the end of this year, you guys will definitely have a lot more music from me. I just had my first release of the year with my boy Yang, KSI Yang. He's from Miami, down in Florida. Originally from Michigan, but he did his thing on this one record we did called Drift.
Yeah.
It's out on all platforms. So
yeah, check that out. That's hot.
Oh, thank you, bro. Yeah, no, I know I'm in my R&B bag right now, but you see some club bangers from me soon.
Perfect. Yeah. All right, thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
No problem, my G. Yo, thank you again for having me. I appreciate it. I hope you're doing well too.
Anytime. All right, take care, bro.
All right, take care, man. Later.